Seeing none at this time, we will close the public comment portion of the meeting. Item number 7, move on to town manager and department reports. Liddell, give me the report for the airport.
So as you can see in the report for the month of May, our traffic counts were down quite a bit, about a third of what they were a year ago. We've had a lot of wind, and also we had the construction crews out there putting in the parallel taxiway to runway 11, even though we did keep one of the 2 runways open at all times. But with the wind and that, I think that's part of the reason our traffic counts were down. We also been having trouble with our ADS-B unit that counts those. The last 4 days weren't counted, and we've still been having trouble, but I've got one coming, so hopefully we'll get that sorted out. But also our fuel sales were down about a third, or 2/3 of what they were normally are for avgas, and about three-quarters of our what our normal jet fuel sales are. On May 13th, we had ADOT and FAA officials come and look at our airport. They wanted to see how the taxiway project was going, and also tour the airport. Vance and I met them and did a tour, and they seemed to be favorably impressed. We also held a capital improvement meeting with FAA and ADOT on June the 27th by Zoom. ADOT doesn't have much money right now, so they're not really funding any projects other than the matching funds that they have to match FAA projects with. Also, we were told that it was quite a chunk to put in this taxiway, so we couldn't expect any great projects in the near future, which isn't surprising. On the private hangars, the 2 of those are done. I mean, they're done other than they need electricity and wiring and that kind of thing. We put in our applications with Garcane, but we haven't seen them out there yet to figure out how we're going to go about that. At the time I wrote this report, the parallel taxiway wasn't quite finished, but it is now finished. Hydro seeding and everything's done. We did a walkthrough inspection on June the 3rd. The only thing left to do is they have to come back in a month and repaint, because that fresh asphalt kind of absorbs the paint. They did do some grinding where the taxiway met the runway last week. And we've applied for the grant on the master plan, and it's looks like it's forthcoming. We're just doing some preliminaries to get ready for that. Also, I'm sure you're aware that we're planning a fly-in and air show in September. And airport maintenance, we've been doing a lot of brush mowing and things around the taxiways and runways. Had a lot of breakdowns on the equipment, so it's been quite a struggle to keep that going. We've had to have the mower repaired, and I've got some new blades coming so that it'll cut the brush better. Also, right now the air conditioner seems like it quits every year on the terminal, and that's had Mojave Services out there today working on that, so hopefully we'll get that going. And that's pretty much it. Let's add questions.
Council have any questions? And thank you.
Thank you.
Building department, Vance.
We didn't get a report from Andrew, and he has gone to a week-long training, so we have no report.
Can I ask one question? We're on the police department, right?
No, that was building.
Building.
Oh, building. Okay, sorry.
Yes, we're moving right on to the police department now.
I thought Chief Radley was going to be here. Not sure where he is.
Go ahead, Councilman Holm.
On the police department, I'm just curious. because I'm not smart enough to understand what he's saying here, but he says what we look at to determine how we enforce speed violations is that any speed over the 85th percentile receives a citation. I don't know what that means. Can you explain that?
I can't. He's gonna have to explain that one, so.
Well, you're a former police officer. I thought.
Yeah, but I'm not a police data junkie. Basically, if I understand it right, it's, you do your speeds and you say, okay, the speed limit's 65 and people are traveling 75, 80, 90, at some point, if they're at this threshold or higher, they're gonna get a citation, no warning, no further discussion.
I wondered if it was the every 85th speeder or something. I don't know. I'm just curious about that.
Hello? Yeah, we're in council meeting. Okay, I'll probably have some questions for you when you get here. He's on his way. I think he forgot what time it started. So, might just come back to that when he
Okay.
gets here.
All right, let's jump over to Public Works. The information's in your packet. Rick is here to answer any questions or give us a overview, please.
It's kind of sound like a broken record every time I come in here. Potholes and blading and brooming. We've been trying to clean up. Been having same kind of problems Liddell is, keeping equipment going. Run it good for a day if you're lucky, and then work on it for a minute. But we'll know about the 2 grants we put in for, the one for Mojave to Redwood, and the one at the airport road. I want to redo that road too. We'll know for sure on probably both of them, but the Mojave stretch next, or August. And the money's immediate if it's approved by everybody, so we'll have to wait on it. Other than that, well, that's next month's report, I guess, but yeah, just been trying to clean up.
The streets are looking good.
Yeah, thank you.
Your paint, that looks great.
Thank you for all you do. Does the council have any questions for him?
I think we need another speed limit sign on Utah Avenue. Personally, I go down, what's
Need
the
one that
speed
works.
limit? One that works right there off Utah Avenue.
We missing some?
Well, there's just such a long stretch. I'm like, no wonder why there's so many more citations in Hilldale. We're
Yeah.
getting them all right here coming off that hill. Because I looked the whole
look at
length.
it.
I'm like, what is the speed limit? I try not to drive it because I feel like it's a trap, but I'm like,
It's 35. I'll drive it and see if we need to stick some.
there was such a long
It
distance.
is till
from-
you get past
And then
Lawson.
only next one you see is a 25 clear down
Yeah, by
by
Larson.
Central almost.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
Thank you. We really appreciate all of your efforts. And work
Yeah,
you
you're
guys are
such a
doing.
likable guy. It's hard to cuss at you.
Cuss at me. Do what you gotta say so I can do better. Okay.
thanks.
Utilities? Yes, the report is in our packet. Admin, Vance.
My report's on page 30 in the packet. During last month, I attended the GFOA, a one-day GFOAZ training, the Northern Arizona Water Users Conference in Flagstaff, and the land law use update that I try to catch every year. I've met with Mayor Jessup and Mr. Pastema a couple times in the last month. Some very long and meaningful meetings. Still working on the budget. We we're still waiting for clarification from the Auditor General's office on some expenditure limitation questions. And landfill operations is still taking up quite a bit of my time, not as much as it was. On the landfill operations, we're doing the FY '23 financial audit, then we'll do the FY '24. The plan is to have both those completed by September. And then the FY '25 we'll do simultaneous with the towns and have things back on track that way. We're still working on the financing for the entry into PSPRS for the police. And in order to make it work, we are going to have to pledge a building. They're working on the documents for that. It's not a big surprise. I was hoping we could do it without, but I'm not surprised that they won't. I had a long phone call with them Friday afternoon, sent them pictures, and I expect that within a day or two I'll at least have the initial documents, which we'll send through legal review and all that fun stuff. We're still working on proposed zoning development standards. Those kind of got pushed back a little more than I wanted to. I'm still spending a tremendous amount of time on planning and zoning items. We have several fairly significant developments in the works. We have Watchman's Point PAD, which we thought we would have on this meeting, but then we went back and realized that we didn't ever go through the planning commission. So we've had several work sessions, a lot of staff time, but we now got to walk that same process. So July is going to be a very interesting meeting for planning and zoning. It's going to have a lot on it. Other than that, just if you have any questions, just a lot to do.
On your meeting with Mayor Jessup and Postema, I'm wondering if you could maybe just give us a 2-minute rundown of what was discussed.
I've talked to him about better coordination on the operations where we know what's happening. We're not guessing at it. And also Mr. Postema is wanting to step back a little bit from the day-to-day operation. So we've had quite an extensive discussion on what that looks like and succession planning. Defining the things we need to see Nate Fisher doing in order to be comfortable with that. We are working on answering the concerns that we've addressed. I've got answers on a lot of them. There's still a few. I need to go back through my letter and check them off. But I'm a lot more comfortable with how it's been operated than I was. So we are getting some of those answers. We still need a few more, I think.
Did I hear you right when I thought I heard you say it was a long and meaningful meeting?
Long and meaningful.
Meaningful.
Like
and so
2 hours plus productive time, a couple of times. For me, that's a very long meeting. But it wasn't just wasted time, it was very productive time.
Okay. Does council have any other questions? Thank you. I would love to be able to have Chief Bradley go into great detail, but in the interest of time, are there any other questions about other than the 85th percentile in his report? It's my understanding if you're doing more than 6 miles an hour over or something to that effect, that would be how that's figured for a citation. Is that what that means?
well, it makes more sense if it said 115%. percentile.
Well,
Yeah, it would.
I think that he was gonna be here in a few minutes, so we can move on and come back to that if you so choose.
Okay. And we shall. We will move on to item number 8. Consider resolution 2025-13, declaring ordinance 2025-11 a public record. Vance,
Okay, I'll address 8 and 9 together, since they go together.
okay?
Eight is simply the resolution that declares the ordinance a public record that allows us to read it by title only, rather than the whole verbiage. The ordinance itself is a product of the election, and it's modifying the city code to reflect the outcome of the election to allow for a directly elected mayor. In your packet on page 32 is that ordinance. Paragraph E is not applicable since we already had the election, so we'll strike that out. So next month, when it comes back for a second reading, that paragraph won't be in there. Other than that, it stays the same.
Okay.
And we also have to amend the method for selecting the vice mayor, because the way it was worded in the code, it says at the same meeting at which the mayor is selected. The mayor is no longer selected in a meeting. And so we just modified that to say, just took the verbiage off the mayor and moved it down to the vice mayor.
Okay. Does the council have any questions?
Just one, so when will the first election be for the mayor?
It will be the fall cycle of 2026, next year.
In line with what the normal election will be.
Right. So next spring, when people decide what they're running for, they're gonna have to decide if they want to run for a council seat or the mayor's seat. And also, and it's a product of state statute, that a council member has to resign unless they're in their last year of their term, and that's applicable for any office statewide. So unless you're in the last year of your term, you'd have to resign to run. So,
Okay.
take your chances.
All right. Does the council have any questions? If not, we will entertain a motion. I would make the motion that we, ordinance 2025-11, amended the town code, Title 3, Section 30, providing the direct election of a mayor as a first reading in the adoption
Haven't done the,
process.
number 8 yet.
Oh, excuse me. There was not a spot in there for a motion.
Sorry.
Here. There's
Oh,
this one.
motion to adopt
Right.
Resolution 2025-13, declaring ordinance 2025-11, amending Town Code Title 3, Section 30, providing to the direct election of a mayor a public record, and a motion to be read by title only, ordinance 2025-11, amending the Town
Mayor,
Code.
you gotta do one act on it before you can do the other. Because we can't read it by title only unless the council has approved
Okay,
the resolution.
okay. It was my understanding.
We discussed them together, but they've gotta be motioned and acted upon individually.
Okay,
I'll second his motion for the first one,
for 8,
for 8.
okay.
All in favor?
Let's, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? There's none opposed. The motion carries. Item number 9. I would make a motion that we read by title only, ordinance 2025-11, amending the town code, Title 3, Section 30, providing the direct elect of a mayor as the first reading in the adoption process.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Are there any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Okay, item number 10.
Just a minute. The clerk needs to read the title.
Okay,
Ordinance number 2025-11, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Colorado City, County of Mojave, State of Arizona regarding the position of mayor, amending the city code Title 3, Section 30.020 to allow for the direct election of a mayor and providing for a vote of the qualified electors of the town approving said change.
We can strike that last sentence. too.
okay, thank you. Item number 10. Consider Resolution 2025-14, declaring ordinance 2025-12, amending Town Code, Article 3, Chapter 30.05, meeting times. Vance?
Okay. 10 and 11, once again, go together. When we changed the meeting times, we didn't realize it was embedded in the code. But we was looking at, in the code for the question to some, answer to some other questions and realized it was. So we're requesting an amendment just to change it from 6 o'clock to 5 o'clock PM in the code.
Okay. Does the council have any questions? All right. We will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to adopt Resolution 2025-14, declaring ordinance 2025-12, amending Town Code Title 3, Chapter 30.05, meeting time, a public record.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? None opposed. Item number 11.
I'll
Vance?
make a motion. Motion to read by title only, ordinance 2025-12, amending Town Code Article 3, Chapter 330-05, regarding the regular meeting time as a first reading in the adoption process.
I will second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None opposed. Can we get the clerk to please read ordinance 2025-12 by title only into the record?
An ordinance of the mayor and council of the town of Colorado City, Arizona, adopting amendments to the town code Title 3, Chapter 30, mayor and council.
Thank you. Item number 12. Consider zoning map amendment, parcel 404-53465 from RE1A residential estate to R112 single-family residential. Vance?
This is a request, it starts on page 38 in your packet, by Levi Jessup to rezone a parcel. It's on Pioneer Street and Garden, corner lot, R12, for the purpose of dividing it into 3 lots, the 1 acre down to three lots. Pretty straightforward. This was reviewed at the Planning Commission meeting with the recommendation to approve.
Okay. Does the council have any questions or comments? If none, we will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we accept it as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None opposed, the motion carries. Item number 13. Consider resolution adopting budget adjustments for fiscal year 2025. Vance?
Okay, this is our annual exercise where we go through the budget and analyze it. recognizing that budgets are estimates and making any necessary amendments to the budget. We can't increase the overall budget at all. So beginning on page 42 in your packet is the budget adjustments. The result is it's increasing the administration budget by 39,000, decreasing building by 22,000, increasing police by 125,700, increasing court by 36,200, increasing dispatch by 43,050, decreasing parks by 6,900, decreasing airport by 32,975, and decreasing contingencies by 165,000, decreasing streets and roads by 17,075.
Does the council have any questions? None, we will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-15, authorizing the budget line item adjustments to the 2024-2025 budget.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None opposed. All right. It looks like Chief is here. You want to jump back and do the police report under the reports.
Is he also talking on 15, though?
Is he?
At least in the packet, it said he would answer questions on that IGA.
Let's move forward with item 14 and then we'll go to there. Item 14, consider a resolution renewing Uzona Chamber of Commerce as our DMO for town events.
This is something we've done for several years. Has to be done every year. And we've used the Uzona Chamber of Commerce for this, and they working with the While You're in Town have been filling that need. It's not a lot of money to the town, but a portion of the transient room tax has to be used for promotion of tourism. So this is a way we can fill that requirement. It's about $700 to $1,000 a year. And by partnering with the chamber and them with While You're in Town, we're able to parlay that with other promotions, get our dollars to go further. So I recommend we continue that partnership for at least another year.
At what point in the future do you feel like it needs to go out to, like proposals or bids or?
When you start talking thousands of dollars a year, we're
Okay.
a long ways from that.
I just wondered.
Council have any other questions? All right, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-2026, designating Uzona Chamber of Commerce as the designation marketing organization, or DMO, for the town of Colorado City in designating a seniority authority.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? None opposed. Okay. Let's move back to the budget report for the PD, if you would, Chief Radley. Or excuse me, to the department report for the PD. I'm sorry about that.
I thought maybe you're gonna let me
Yeah, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
jump in the budget thing, so.
We're wondering why they put so much more budget on the PD.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Councilman Holm had a question for you.
Okay.
Oh, on your report, I was just curious about this comment that you make here in your report. What we look at to determine how we enforce speed violations is that any speed over 85th percentile receives a citation. What does that mean?
So if you, do you have your packets right there?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the diagram?
Mhm.
Or the one diagram? Let's go down to the one that's labeled Colorado City / Hilldale City Police Department. And in that center diagram, the bars that you have, you should see that it shows vehicle speeds. Now, you have these red and blue lines that are going up and down, and then you have a blue bar that's vertical. Are you with me there?
It says 85th percentile.
Correct.
So,
So what happens is we say the speed trailer counts every vehicle that goes by, and it's taking the speed of each vehicle, both coming towards it and going away from it. And what it says is 85% of the vehicles that are passing by that trailer are going that speed. Does that make sense? So that means 85% of traffic is, in this case, speeding 9 miles an hour over the speed limit. So what we're saying is, okay, that's your 85th percentile. That's kind of, think of it as the flow of traffic. Now we need to slow the whole flow of traffic down, but then you have those cars that are speeding way above and beyond that. And so we say, okay, we're going to take that 85th percentile where traffic is flowing, and now we're going to look at the cars that are really speeding above that.
so it's basically saying that if you're going over 73, you get a ticket.
Yep. Yep, because what we're trying to do is we want to bring that 85th percentile should be about 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. It shouldn't be as high as it is. But what we're also saying is the people that are going over that traffic flow are the ones that are passing illegally. They're tailgating. There's other issues going on with that speed. And so we want to really take a look at those and see if we can reduce those, because those are the ones that also tend to cause a lot of our accidents versus the cars that are just staying in the flow of traffic.
This is mostly referencing what's out on the highway, right?
This particular study is the highway, yes.
But does it apply in town as well?
It does. Yep, we apply the same factors in town. What we do is we set the speed parameters a little bit differently. And some of them, like in a school zone, we set that to 0, and then we start to look at what those percentages are from there. Otherwise, we might set it to give you 5 miles an hour over the speed limit as a variable.
Okay. Thank you. Does council have any other questions about the report?
Looks like we've made some progress on Central Street for those parked vehicles, but looks like there's a few other things there too, but big motorhome got moved, and I appreciate helping on that.
We do. We try and keep up on those. And as people call and let us know that there's vehicles that are broken down or stranded, we try and get out and address them and get them off the roadways if they sit there too long.
Okay. All right, with that, we will move on to item number 15. Consider, just a minute, Chief.
Yours too.
This is yours.
Oh, this is mine? Oh, 15's mine.
Consider an IGA between the town of Colorado City and Washington County for housing inmates
Yeah.
at Purgatory Correctional Facility. If you could, please speak to us about that.
So this is a standard contract they send out to every city. What's happened is they have not updated a contract with us for some time, which has been to our advantage, because that means people staying in Purgatory were costing us much less. But they were going through all of their contracts this year, and they found there were several contracts out there that had not been renewed for years and years. For example, they're supposed to renew them every 5 years. I think ours had been somewhere around 21 years, so I'm up, yeah. So we're doing pretty well. I preferred that we just stay with the old contract and didn't have a need for a new contract. The sheriff, on the other hand, did not feel the same. So this is just really, truly, it's a standard contract that we have for housing inmates. Now, there's a difference. These are particularly dealing with Arizona inmates that are held there for a period of time till we get them transported down to Kingman. Our Hilldale bookings are all dealt with within state and just taken under the taxpayer's dollar. So this is truly a contract with Colorado City for those temporary holds that they do for us while people are going down to
So do we have a
Kingman.
separate agreement with Kingman, or is that a
No,
freebie?
with Kingman, see again, Kingman houses our inmates, our felony inmates, based on taxes and stuff like that, so we don't have a cost to house them in Kingman. But we just have that cost to house them temporarily till we can get them transported. And that is a huge advantage to us, because what that allows is, let's say we have an officer who's been on for 8 hours on a 12-hour shift. They can go down to Purgatory and have them held, and then we can work out a transportation to get them down to Kingman. That doesn't mean that then they have to do another 4.5-hour drive, the one way, and then drive all the way back, being on one shift and taking them into a 16 or 17-hour day really quickly. So it is to our advantage to be able to have this opportunity to use them.
In making arrangements, does Kingman come up and come and get them, or do you have to take them and then come back?
They, for the most part, they will send their transportation officers up for felonies and pick them up
That
for
makes
us.
good.
And so it is a great arrangement for us. In the daytime, we try and skip that, and we just work out our transportation arrangements. We'll often meet them down there at the border in Arizona with Utah on I-15 at the port and do the transition there. But there are times where it's just simply late at night. They need to be in jail.
Okay. All right. Council have any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
We will entertain a motion at this point.
I'll make a motion to approve the IGA between the town of Colorado City and Washington County for housing of inmates at Purgatory Correctional Facility.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Item 16, Vance.
We don't have a need for any session today.
Okay. Item 17. Vance.
Beginning on page 58 in your packet, the budget report. So this is for the 11 months ending May 31st, 92% of the fiscal year. Our tax revenues coming in a little bit low at 75%. And licenses and permits at 89%. Our state shared revenue seems a little low. Our IGAs with Hilldale have been kept paid right up. We're grateful for that. The fire district is a little bit behind again. They'll usually catch it up as the tax dollars come in. The SRO IGA is a new line item. We're recalibrating how we track those, so that's doesn't reflect very good. Charges for services at 92%, fines and forfeitures at 60%. Overall, our general fund revenue has come in at 76%, so it's a little bit less than we estimated. Our expenditures at the end of May, admin was at 93%, building department at 62%, law enforcement at 97%, magistrate court at 109%, and the bulk of that is a product of the legal costs of prosecuting cases, those cases that we bear that cost. And there's a direct correlation between that and the indigent counsel. So both of those were quite a bit more than we estimated they would be. Emergency dispatch at 92, Parks and Recs at 82, airport at 69. Overall, our general fund expenditures are at 84%, so wished it was a little different. HERF funding, 74%, and HERF expenditures at 84%. That's your general fund HERF budget report.
Okay.
Next month, we will have these budget adjustments entered in, and so that report will reflect them for the June.
Okay. On the magistrate court, are we planning for an increase on that, or is that something we can or cannot?
This coming year, if I remember right, I pushed those numbers up a little bit to reflect more of what our current expenditures are costing us.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, on the payment approval report, down at the bottom of page 2 is for Sunrise Engineering, and that's just for various planning and zoning items, $8,285. Page 3, up about a fourth way down the page, there's one that's for Power DMS. It's a software license for PD, and that's for $7,761. Then if we go over to page 4, about halfway down, we have just the operational costs for prosecution. We have a charge for $4,624, and then another one for $4,158. On page 5, midway down is the airport, the Del Bias line for $5,000. Page 6, up at the top, we have 4 different charges for from Sunrise Engineering, and that's for Richard Street, just various operational costs for that improvement. And then below that is the Keith, the PD consultant, $5,772. About 3/4 the way down the page, there's one for Basic American Supply. It's the street paint, $4,691. And then on page 7, up towards the top, there's a $1,950 charge. It's a trailer for Public Works. And then at the bottom, we have the taxiway. It's draw 3 and 4, very large. And then that's pretty much everything unless you have questions.
Does the council have any questions?
I have a question. The Sunrise Engineering, that's for survey on Homestead? Is that what that is?
On page 6?
Page 2.
Oh, page 2, let me go back to that. Okay, that's the, that is for the reviews on the planning and zoning items, where we get our site plans and stuff. And they've been doing a lot, they do the reviews for us, and they've also been helping us with the review on a Watchman's Point. That's what that number is.
Okay, I've just seen them over there surveying on Homestead, that's why I asked.
Oh, the Homestead is the sewer main project, and
Right.
that'll go through Hilldale.
Oh, okay.
I have a question. On page 1, it says vehicle license taxes, and then it's a reimbursement for, how does that work?
Okay, when you go to license your car, they do it based on the zip code. If you actually live outside of the city, then you can come in and get that particular, the city portion of that tax reimbursed to you. So it reduces the amount we actually end up with at the end of the day.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any other questions? All right. Well, with that, we will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to pay the due claims as they become due.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Item number 18, this is the time for any council member to bring up other items for awareness. The council will not be able to take action on items brought this time. The council can direct staff to do its additional research on matters and/or schedule them for action on a future agenda. Does the council have any comments at this time? Okay. Hearing none, we will move to item number 19, and it is 5:49. We will call this meeting adjourned.